What's up, everybody? Hello. We got the game for you right here. Coming to you live. And US has bombed Iran. Nice. Good job. Good job throwing us into no new wars. Oh yeah, no new wars. Oh, it's not about regime change. You're an idiot. It's not about regime change, we swear. That has to come next, you idiot. Yeah, so America is now decapitating the leaders of Iran. Nice. Nice, good job. And we're back playing this game. Great. Yep. Iran will be decapitated. There will be a regime change in Iran. And then Israel will grow to be the most powerful force in the Middle East. They'll eventually cut ties with the US, stop taking their money. And you say, oh, isn't that a good thing? They'll still steal our money in other ways. It's just they won't be taking our money directly so that they won't have to be accountable to us and the American public anymore. Free from the shackles of public accountability. And then they will instigate tons of wars and drive everyone else into submission. Yep. That's the world we're heading for. It's a Jewishly contrived, plotted hellscape of Jewish wrath. Yep, that's what our world is heading into. Whether you want it or not. So get ready to get ready for World War III, boys. Aren't you guys all excited for World War III? Yay! We're bombing Iran. Awesome. For no reason. Literally no reason. No good reason. They don't have nukes. They weren't ever planning to get nukes. They've been in this threshold status for 30 years. There's no new innovations from Iran. Israel just bombed them out of fucking nowhere to derail peace. Derail peace agreements and diplomacy. And billions of dollars are being sent in the form of bombs and missiles to Iran. And Israel. Very nice. Aren't you guys excited? Isn't this what you voted for? Is this the president you voted for? Starting wars in the Middle East? More wars in the Middle East, guys. Now see, I kind of thought I heard him say no new wars. I kind of thought I heard him say diplomacy, make a deal, peace in the Middle East. Sounds like we're going to war. Sounds like we're not getting a deal. Sounds like no diplomacy. Sounds like your president sucks fucking ass. Sounds like your president's a fucking scam and you got tricked because you're a stupid goyim. You're a fucking dumbass and you should be ashamed. Sounds like you should be fucking ashamed of yourself. Is there anything over there? I can't rotate my character for whatever reason. Oh wait, I can go up here. So yeah, she'd be ashamed. Everyone who voted for Trump, you should be ashamed. You could have stopped this. Everyone who voted for Trump is personally responsible for everything that's happening in the Middle East. You voted for it. You assented to this president. Either that or you should be outraged at the betrayal. No new wars, he said. Oh yeah? Well... So cope. So please cope. And seethe and whine and cry. Cry for me about how it's not Trump's fault. Cry for me about how it's Iran's fault. Cry for me about how Iran has nuclear weapons. Cry and console yourself at night with a handkerchief and a pillow. So I'm not happy. Not happy with you. I'm very cross with you. All you stupid Goyim Trump supporters who thought you were going to get America First policy. Bombing Iran is not America First. That's Israel First. There's no reason to bomb Iran. No good reason to bomb Iran. That's not America First. That's not pro-America. That's pro-Israel. That's pro their agenda. That doesn't help America at all. That doesn't help our economy. That doesn't help our families, the people who are responsible for at home. It doesn't help America's agenda. We get nothing by bombing this random country in the Middle East. And all you who voted for it should be mega ashamed. And yep, we're involved. We're officially involved. Nice. I mean, we already were involved. We pay for Israel's missiles. Pay for their defense. We basically take care of them. But now we're really involved. Now we're really fucked. And yeah, there will be regime change. There will be. I guarantee you all my money there will be regime change. The lead B-2 bomber dropped 2 GBU-57s, which are the mass ordnance penetrators, the bunker busters. 14 of them. These are really expensive, by the way. He added that the mission was not about regime change. You idiot. Wait, what? Iran's foreign minister condemned the U.S. strike and said Tehran reserves the right to respond. He said Trump betrayed Americans who were promised an end to U.S. involvement in the Middle East. True. True, Mr. No New Wars. It's a betrayal. Every single right-wing person who voted for Trump got tricked. You got betrayed. Far greater. He's threatening even greater attacks. What, nuclear? There's nothing bigger than those mass ordnance penetrators. The next thing would be nuclear. Or like some crazy, like, billion-dollar bomb. Took actions to grave threat. Oh, fuck off, stupid UK cuck. UN cuck. condemned the strikes. Saudi Arabia condemned it. I think India is super pro-Israel, so they're going to defend it. Never mind. Indian Prime Minister called for diplomacy, right? Russian politician, spokesperson for Putin said, Trump, who came in as a peacemaker, has started a new war for the U.S. With this kind of success, Trump won't win the Nobel Peace Prize. Yeah, no shit. There's no cope. There's no amount of cope bullshit you can invent in your pathetic head to explain this. There's no the amount of mental, you can't bend your back over 360. You just can't do it. You will break your back trying to do the gymnastics for this. Anyone who says regime change isn't necessary is an idiot. They don't understand. They don't understand anything. Well, they're not going to regime change. You idiot. That has to come next, so they don't rebuild. You idiot. That's a necessary precursor, because they're not going to stop. The regime isn't just going to, oh, you bombed us. Okay, fine. We'll be peaceful now. No, you have to then go and... You have to, if you're going to blow up their nuclear facility and denuclearize them, you then have to instigate regime change, obviously. You idiot. And anyone who says otherwise is a liar. So they're just lying. They're literally just lying. What? What the fuck? Oh, this thing, right? Send this to mother. Let me see if I can find the article that says... Netanyahu, Benjamin Netanyahu in 2006. Oh, we're not. Testing.
Loud and clear. What's up?
Can you search the web for a statement made by Netanyahu in 2006 saying that don't want to just denuclearize Iran, but they also have to instigate regime change? Should be 2006.
In 2006, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu emphasized that Israel's goal was not only to prevent Iran from obtaining nuclear weapons, but also to encourage regime change in Tehran. This approach aligns with Israel's long-standing security strategy.
Okay. Can you find me the source for either the article or the document that records this, like him saying that? Or just find the source for that list where he said that.
It looks like there isn't a direct quote from 2006 where Netanyahu explicitly states his intention for regime change in Iran. However, he has been consistent in expressing concerns about Iran's nuclear capabilities and the threat they pose to regional stability. For specific quotes,
well, maybe it's not 2006. Just find a source for where Netanyahu talks about the necessity for regime change in Iran, not just denuclearization.
Benjamin Netanyahu has expressed that Israel's actions against Iran's nuclear capabilities might contribute to a broader political change in Iran. While he focused on preventing Iran...
This is just not true. Okay. Where is it? I don't see it. I think Fuentes mentioned it. I'm loading a video. Nuclear strike against Iran is not impossible. I can't remember what fucking video. It's either this or this. I think it's this.
So much of what I do on this show, it's not even just talking about the subject matter in itself, the Middle East conflict, Trump's response, and the rest of it, but it's talking about the information ecosystem. And of course, these two things, they're distinct, but they're inextricably connected. They cannot be separated from one another. Because of course, how we got this far, because you could ask yourself, how did we wind up in this situation? How is it even possible? How is it possible that we were promised no new wars by Trump, who his entire political career was sort of based on rejecting Iraq and the legacy of nation building and neoconservatives and foreign influence. It's a really important
All
question.
right, we'll just wait for this.
Something that I reminds me of
it's
a
in here
conversation
somewhere.
I had with somebody a year ago, a very big Trump supporter. And I distinctly remember we were playing video games. I've brought this up before. And I said, I'm not voting for Trump because he's going to take us to war in Iran. And my buddy said, I just don't see how that's going to happen. I just don't see it. I can't see how that's going to happen. You know, and that's the problem. So you say to yourself, how is it possible? It's a very important question, how we arrived in this place, which is surprising to so many people and unthinkable, or was previously unthinkable to so many people. Well, that it is unthinkable has everything to do with how we got here. It is the programmed indifference. It is the programmed apathy, the brainwashed ignorance. That's how we got here. And this has everything to do with the information or misinformation, disinformation that's being spread this week. So before we get into the latest on the battlefield in Iran and Israel, I do want to talk about how conservative influencers are treating all of this, because really, if you're not paying attention to this, you need to be. And by paying attention, I mean you need to notice what they're saying, how they're treating the subject, and why. These conservative influencers, and I'll name some names, guys like Charlie Kirk, Steven Crowder, Jack Posobiec, DC Drano, I forget his real name, Michael Knowles, Matt Walsh. These guys are all Gentiles. They're not Jewish. I don't know if his name's Rogan O'Handley. I guess he's Irish. So I don't think any of them are Jewish.
Oh.
They're all Trump supporters. They're all pretty far right. I think you could distinguish them from some other conservative commentators and say that that little group that I just named, like the Charlie Kirks, the Crowders, they have a harder edge, you could say, than some of the more mainstream guys. They are mainstream, but they're sort of a different category, let's say. They're from a very pro-Trump wing. They weren't the never-Trumpers. They weren't the capital C conservatives from the old days. You could say these guys have a little bit of a harder edge. And all of these conservative influencers, they have something to say about everything. About the new Snow White movie, the new Disney movie, about Pride Month, about the advertisements, about no matter how mundane, whatever culture war issue, they got something to say about everything. But if you've been paying attention, when this crisis in the Middle East started last week, suddenly none of them had anything to say. Did you notice that? Last Thursday, when Israel initiated the war, and never forget, Israel started the war. Israel fired the first shot. Israel, in defiance of President Trump, deliberately to sabotage the president's diplomacy with Iran, they fired the first shot in what they called a preemptive strike. Preempting what exactly? Nobody knows. They have no evidence. They can't tell you. They say it was preemptive. I'm not sure what that was supposed to preempt. I'm not sure they know. Nobody knows. In any case, when Israel fired the first shot, in a deliberate attempt, in a defiant move to sabotage Trump's diplomacy, to drag the United States into a regime change war, these guys didn't say anything. And if you were paying attention on Thursday, they were posting polls. A poll, an opinion poll, on Twitter. Charlie Kirk and Jack Posobiec and usual suspects. Normally you get a hot take, fresh off the presses. You get a hot take. Oh, the Democrats, the left, the wokesters, this, that, and the other, right? Normally, when it's a mass shooting, when it's a major press release, when it's a police-involved shooting, when any kind of flashpoint for conflict, any kind of cultural flashpoint, you would get hot off the presses, some hot take about the Democrats and left and something of that nature. All of a sudden, radio silence. We got an opinion poll. Charlie Kirk says, well, what do you think? He puts out a poll on Twitter. Do you support what's happening? Would you support a war in Iran? No hot takes. They got nothing. It actually took them days to come up with something. If you noticed, Thursday, Friday, they said nothing. Other than vague ruminations, well, I trust the president. Well, I think I'd be against regime change. But you could literally see in real time, in the first 48 hours, the wheels were turning. And there was a crisis meeting happening at Turning Point headquarters, at Daily Wire, wherever. How are we going to explain this one? We have gassed up Trump. We have portrayed him as this messianic figure. We have gone out to bat for him. We have, in an ad hoc way, appropriated his non-interventionist rhetoric, even though it's never really been consistent with his real policies. They said, so how do we sell this one to the base? How do we satisfy Trump, who wants us to support intervention? How do we satisfy our Zionist donors, who want us to support their war? But also, how do we placate our audience, which is stridently opposed to regime change and opposed to Middle Eastern wars? So you could see for a couple of days, they were very quiet. They were posting polls. They were kind of just throwing some things out there to see what would stick and figuring out what the line was going to be. And the positions have changed over the past week. And I said this earlier. Before the conflict started, they were saying they were all behind Trump and Steve Witkoff's diplomatic efforts. They said no new wars. No new wars. We want a diplomatic solution. Trump is the peace president. He's going to make great deals. We're going to have prosperity in the Middle East. You know, when he ran on the campaign. Then Israel starts a war, and not only does Israel initiate the hostility, but Trump, the following morning, gets in front of the press and says, we knew about it the whole time. It was all part of the plan. We set Iran up. We told them we were interested in a deal. We lied. This is what the Israelis said, and Trump sort of confirmed this. We set them up. It was a ruse to get them to lower their guard so that Israel could attack them. And we knew everything. Trump's words, I knew everything. So the following day, all these people that were saying they supported the diplomacy, well, now they look like idiots. Because at the same time that Trump was apparently lying to the Iranians, he was also lying to his own base. And all these, even the more academic types like Kurt Mills and Tucker Carlson, a CIA asset, even they were interviewing Steve Witkoff and supporting the diplomatic overture. So Trump pulled the rug, not just on Iran, but also on everybody that was supporting him and the peace talks. So then they changed their position one time. They changed their position and said, well, we shouldn't get involved.
All right. Can you pull up as many articles as you can, dating back as far as you can, that talk about Iran being close to having a nuke?
Recent reports indicate that Iran has significantly increased its uranium enrichment, amassing over 400 kilograms of 60% enriched uranium as of May 2025. This level is just below weapons-grade material. In response, the international...
Yeah, can you load the thing? There you go. Listen, I'm looking for old articles that go back 10, 20 years or more, if you can, that talk about the threat of Iran being close to a nuclear weapon, not recent stuff involving the current conflict.
In the 2000s and 2010s, Iran's nuclear program was a major international concern. In 2007, a U.S. intelligence report indicated that Iran had suspended its nuclear weapons development in 2003. However, the report also suggested that Iran could produce highly enriched uranium for a weapon between 2010 and 2015. In 2008, Iran conducted missile tests, including
What is Iran's Perilous Pursuit of Nuclear Weapons, the book, about, and when was it written?
Iran's Perilous Pursuit of Nuclear Weapons is a book that explores Iran's nuclear ambitions and the geopolitical implications of its nuclear program. It delves into the motivations behind Iran's nuclear pursuits, the international response, and the potential consequences for regional and global security. The book was written to provide insights into the complexities of Iran's nuclear strategy and the international efforts to address the issue. Unfortunately, I don't have the specific publication date or author information.
Useless.
Iran's Perilous Pursuit of Nuclear Weapons is a book by David Albright, published in 2017. The book examines Iran's nuclear activities, its potential to develop nuclear weapons, and the international responses to these developments. Albright, a nuclear physicist and expert on nuclear proliferation, provides an in-depth analysis of the technical, political, and security aspects surrounding Iran's nuclear program. I'm sorry, but you've hit the daily.
Name of Iran's supreme leader.
The current supreme leader of Iran is Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. He has held the position since 19.
Fatwa. That's right. Didn't Iran help America defeat Iraq? Didn't they help in that?
Yes, Iran played an indirect but notable role in helping the United States during the Iraq War, particularly during the 2003 invasion of Iraq. After the U.S. invasion of
Trying to find it. He just made that claim.
That was the line they took, to the extent that they took a line at all. They went from no new wars, and then the following day when Israel attacked Iran and Trump said we knew about it, they said, well, Israel can attack Iran, but we shouldn't join them. We should let Israel do the...
There it is, watch him.
the attack by themselves. Now this is a talking point. This is a carefully crafted, we shouldn't get involved into the Iranians. He was also lying to his own base. And all these, even the more academic types like Kurt Mills and Tucker Carlson, a CIA asset, even they were interviewing Steve Witkoff and supporting the diplomatic overture. So Trump pulled the rug, not just on Iran, but also on everybody that was supporting him and the peace talks. So then they changed their position one time. They changed their position and said, well, we shouldn't get involved. That was the line they took, to the extent that they took a line at all. They went from no new wars, and then the following day, when Israel attacked Iran and Trump said we knew about it, they said, well, Israel can attack Iran, but we shouldn't join them. We should let Israel do the attack by themselves. Now this is a talking point. This is a carefully crafted marketing ploy. It's disingenuous, it's borderline a lie. And we talked about that throughout the conflict in Gaza and the broader conflict in the Middle East. Why is it disingenuous? Why is it a lie to say that we should not get involved? Because we're already involved. And we've already been involved. And we talked about this many times. I'm not going to belabor the point. But who do you think supplies Israel with all of their military hardware?
There you go.
The drones they used against Iran. The satellite intelligence that Israel used to carry out the strikes. The interceptors and missile defense that Israel uses to shoot down Iranian drones and missiles. The Hellfire missiles that Israel drops on Iran from its fighter jets. We provide all of it. And this president in particular furnished Israel with $12 billion in military aid. That was, I believe, in January or February. Not only that, but the United States is actively involved in shooting down Iran's missiles that are launched at Israel. The United States' threat of force against Iran and all the other countries in the region deters them. from attacking Israel, and that enables Israel to attack them without any cost, and it emboldens them. So strategically, tactically, militarily, offensively, and defensively, we are already involved in every way, shape, and form. So when they changed their tune a little bit, they went from saying no new wars, then they said, well, it's Israel's war. Let them fight Iran, let them fight it out, we should stay out of it. That was a line that they fed.
Trump, by the way, take a look at him. He had been extremely vocal in the past, for years, by the way, before he even ran for president, about the disaster of our foreign policy in the Middle East. He specifically called out Barack Obama back in 2011 for what he deems to be an unnecessarily looming conflict with, well, you guessed it, Iran. Take a listen.
Our president will start a war with Iran because he has absolutely no ability to negotiate. He's weak and he's ineffective. So the only way he figures that he's going to get reelected, and as sure as you're sitting there, is to start a war with
Trump, by the way, taking a look at him, he had been extremely vocal in the past, for years, by the way, before he even ran for president, about the disaster of our foreign policy in the Middle East. What is that, guys?
Authorized the nuclear weapons program that he suspended in 2003. The IC continues to monitor closely if Tehran decides to reauthorize its nuclear weapons program.
And Trump has this to say about Tulsi Gabbard, who is his director of national intelligence. You can just dismiss what she says, according to Trump. Take a listen.
Mr. President, you've always said that you don't believe Iran should be able to have a nuclear weapon, but how close do you personally think that they were to getting one? Because Tulsi Gabbard testified in March that the intelligence community said Iran wasn't building a nuclear weapon.
I don't care what she said. I think they were very close to having.
What is that, guys? You don't care what your director of national intelligence is telling you? You don't care? Because Bibi Netanyahu, called you up and said, yeah, we need a pretext for war. Like we always need a pretext for. We're constantly bombing and killing people all the time. We're committing a Holocaust in Gaza. Could you just go out there and tell them they were building a nuclear bomb? They weren't. And there's been no evidence of that outside of Bibi Netanyahu's trust me, bro, because I guess you have to come up with something to make people hysterical to believe that we have this never-ending right to murder human beings. That's what it is. It's a carte blanche that has been handed to Israel to continually murder human beings in the Middle East, to use American soldiers to effect regime changes in the Middle East at the benefit of no one but Israel, okay? Trump, by the way,
It was a lie. It was a marketing ploy to make you indifferent. Do you understand? They were trying to cultivate in the perception of the public the idea that we're not involved. And if we're not involved, then Americans can safely look the other way. They can confidently stop paying attention. Oh, well, that's an Israel problem. Let's just talk about something else. And so many American conservatives say, oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, yeah, I like that idea. I like the idea that Israel will fight our wars for us, and we'll hang out here and talk about domestic politics. Disingenuous. And this is a way of cultivating a form of
Apathy.
implicit consent. which is to say that as long as the United States is supporting Israel, that is the constant position, that is the status quo. Unless there is open dissent against it, it won't change. So, if they can convince people that it's not our problem and we should be indifferent to it because we're not involved and it's Israel's war, then nobody's going to speak out against it. Then nobody is going to be there vocally opposed and dissenting. And if that's the case, then the status quo, without interruption, without intervention, will continue. So this is a form of creating a form of implicit consent.
Yeah,
and I
you're
talk
right.
about this idea a lot. Somewhere along the way, in the past 5 or 6 years, the Israel lobby realized that Americans were not going to support a super pro-Israel interventionist foreign policy. They're hip, they're smart. They realized the tide had turned, and the idea that Americans are going to be these super evangelical Zionists waving the Israeli flag, saying, we're going to die for Israel and we're going to fight Arabs and terrorists, and the Israelis realized we got hit to that. And so that wasn't going to sell. So instead, what they did is the U.S. government continues the same policy. AIPAC is still behind them. The Israel lobby is still behind them. It has chugged along throughout Trump's first term, Biden's term, and now Trump's second term. The revolution in their strategy was to convince Americans to be indifferent and say things like, let Israel fight their own battles. Let's give Israel the weapons to fight Iran. Let's give Israel the tools to conduct their own foreign policy. And that's a gift to us because then we can disengage. So that was the first pivot, and it contained a lie. So they went from no new wars to, well, we shouldn't get involved. Then America got involved. Friday morning, Iran began their retaliation against Israel. Iran began sending ballistic missiles and kamikaze drones, and I think some cruise missiles, over at Israel in these barrages, these waves of hundreds of missiles at a time. And everyone's Air Force was activated to defend Israel. The Israeli Air Force, the Jordanian Air Force, the British Air Force, the French Air Force, and yes, the United States Air Force was deployed from Qatar to defend Israeli airspace. And I think they were deployed also over Jordan and Syria as well to shoot down the drones and missiles. So we got involved. And the narrative changed again. And I saw Charlie Kirk on Twitter saying, well, I'm against offensive intervention. I don't think we should go on the offense against Iran. We shouldn't participate in the offensive strikes against Iran. It became undeniable that we are involved. We're involved defensively. So they had to create this subtle distinction and say, oh, well, we're already involved defensively. We're arming Israel. We just shouldn't carry out our own airstrikes. And the reason is obvious, because if the United States is directly striking Iran, then Iran would be forced to directly strike us and attack our bases, attack Baghdad, attack the Emirates, maybe Qatar, Saudi Arabia, something like that, Syria, Jordan. And then Americans would die and we would get sucked in and then it would turn into a big problem. So they changed it again and said, well, we shouldn't have offensive strikes. But once again, there's another lie in there. Because, and I'm not going to belabor this one too much, but there is no distinction between offensive and defensive support in a conflict. If somebody comes and shoots your entire family and someone else didn't pull the trigger, but they gave that person the gun and the bullets to do it, and if you tried to hunt that person down, that person would kill you, the other guy would kill you, it's a distinction without a difference. If the United States is giving Israel the weapons that bomb Iran, giving them the intelligence and coordinates to precisely target Iranian targets, if when Iran retaliates, we create a shield around Israel so that Israel will not get hit back, does it really matter whether we're bombing Iran directly or whether we're just helping Israel bomb Iran directly and making it low or no cost for Israel to bomb Iran directly? Of course not. In the same way that it matters very little how we're being involved in Ukraine. And that hasn't stopped the same people from criticizing our defensive intervention in Ukraine, or in Taiwan for that matter, or in a number of other conflicts. So once again, another lie. Well, we shouldn't go on the offense. Now there is a new rhetorical innovation. Get this one. So we're going to get into this a little bit later tonight, but it is becoming clear that the United States is preparing to intervene in the conflict. Specifically, the United States is going to use its B-2 stealth bombers to drop massive ordnance penetrator bunker-busting bombs on Iran's nuclear facility at Fordow. Because Israel does not have these capabilities. They do not have a strategic air force. They do not have a massive ordnance penetrator. They don't have big enough bunker busters. They can't do it. We have to therefore finish what they started. And this is now being sold to us. Think about how this has evolved in 5 days. Now this is being sold to Americans as limited in scope, meaning we're not going to put boots on the ground. We're not going to occupy Iran for 20 years like we did in Iraq. We're not going to have to fight a counterinsurgency like we did in Afghanistan. We're not going to nation build and create a fledgling democratic government. It's being sold as limited in scope. No, we're just going to drop a couple of bombs. What's the big deal? It's being sold as low cost. Israel already destroyed Iran's air defenses. Israel controls their airspace. Therefore, we're not going to get hit back. Our bombers are going to be safe. They're not going to be shot out of the sky. And American bases are not going to be blown up and Americans killed. And therefore, they're saying, well, this isn't real neoconservatism. This isn't really interventionism. Trump never said he was never going to use the military. This isn't a big war. It's low risk. Therefore, this is an acceptable type of action. It's fine. They're saying something like this. And the new rhetorical innovation, and I saw this all day on Twitter. I saw a compilation from Michael Knowles. I saw it from Steven Crowder. I saw it from Charlie Kirk. They're all saying, hey, maybe you're opposed to regime change in Iran. You can agree or disagree. They say, but what you can't say is that Trump is a hypocrite. Because Trump said in 2016 that Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. And he said in 2020 and 2024 that Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. They're saying, so if Trump bombs Iran's nuclear program, this is not a 180. It's not an about-face. It's not a betrayal. It's not hypocrisy. They're saying because Trump campaigned on it, so he's being consistent. That's what they're going with. That's really what they're going with. And in the first place, I would say it is incredible to me. We are on the precipice of World War III, literally a nuclear war. Nuclear war is what is at stake. Why? Because Israel is a nuclear power. Iran has a latent nuclear program. Israel is being pushed, maybe, to the brink, depending on how things play out in a couple of weeks. The DEFCON level has been raised. It is not outside the realm of possibility that a nuclear weapon is deployed, either against Iran or some form of a dirty bomb or something, a weapon of mass destruction, against another country before this is over. Moreover, because of the alignment of other states like Russia and China, it's looking unlikely, but it's still a possibility that great powers can be drawn in, and this could turn into an intercontinental global conflict. In the midst of this, what Republican influencers seem to be concerned about is whether we think Trump is a hypocrite. Trump is drawing us into this war. Trump is allowing Israel to draw him and the rest of us into the war. And what do Charlie Kirk and Knowles and Matt Walsh and others have to say? Well, don't call him a hypocrite, because he said we were going to war with Iran, so you're going to be okay with that. Really? Trump said in 16, 20, 24, Iran can't have nukes. So now that the United States is bombing Iran, for some reason, because Israel wanted us to, now nobody should be complaining about Trump. Oh, well, hey, you can't say you weren't warned. Trump did say no nukes, so you got to be in favor of this. Don't call Trump out. They're also saying things like, well, this is going to split the base. People are talking about, whether this is MAGA. You got neocons, genuine Jewish neocons, saying, if you don't support Trump bombing Iran, you're not MAGA. I'm seeing huge engagement on these anonymous, probably AI shill, who even knows if they're American Twitter accounts, and they're saying, look at all the rats abandoning MAGA just because he's bombing Iran. What? What? I see these anonymous pro-Trump shill accounts with 20,000 likes. They're saying, all this did was reveal who are the fake MAGA supporters. If you're not with Trump bombing Iran, you're fake MAGA. And then you have other people that are saying, well, I don't support bombing Iran, but hey, he always said we were going to do it, so we must quietly support him and just put our faith in him and pray to him as if that would change anything.
Jesus, pray to him like he's
It's a weird,
Jesus.
Protestant form of worship, where you see people like Charlie Kirk saying, just trust in Trump. Just trust in him. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to turn my phone off. Literally, he said this, turn your phone off. Not everything, not everything happening in the Middle East affects your life. Just focus on family and put your trust in Trump. And this is as if to say, trust that he won't bomb.
Did he really say that? Did he really say that? He's gay. Charlie Kirk is gay, by the way.
That we have a lot of
4 days ago, okay.
Let's do some updates about Israel and Iran and potentially the United States. Right now, there is a mass mobilization underway of U.S. aircraft and the USS Nimitz into the Middle East to be prepared. In fact, the president right now, President of the United States, President Trump, is sending up some very spicy Truth Social posts. He says, quote, we know exactly where the so-called supreme leader is hiding. He is an easy target, but is safe there. We're not going to take him out. Kill. I love that. At least not for now. But we don't want missile shot at civilians or American soldiers. Our patience is wearing thin. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And then President Trump says 2 words in all caps, unconditional surrender. For 10 years, President Donald Trump has said that Iran should not get a nuclear weapon. For 10 years, he has been consistent about this. And so now President Trump is left with a choice. Israel has done a lot of work in Iran. They have bombed a lot of targets, but there are some nuclear facilities where the weaponry is hidden within a mountain. It is within a deep, deep bunker. And it would potentially require U.S. involvement or what's called bunker-busting bombs, otherwise brokered by B-52 or American bombers. Now, in situations like this, it's important to understand that we do not know all the facts or the circumstances or the elements surrounding this. President Donald Trump has to make a very important decision. Does the United States get involved kinetically against Iran? So what would this look like? If the United States were to get involved with Iran, you can see all public reports, it looks like there is a mobilization to the region. America bombing Iran would be a direct escalation. Now, it would not be the same as bombing their oil fields or even bombing the supreme leader. The most basic action would be drop a bunker buster on their underground nuclear plant. And some people claim that's the only thing we have to do. But the cautionary tale that I would say both privately and publicly, and I'm going to Washington, D.C. tomorrow, and I will say this on the show, and I'll say this to anyone that will listen. It's very hard to stop a war when you want, and it's hard to stop a war once you're in the midst of a war. So let's say that the United States bombs Fordo with bunker-busting bombs. And Iran getting a nuclear weapon, not good. No one wants that. You can see how it's changed the geopolitical calculus when North Korea has a nuclear weapon. It makes us treat North Korea in a way that we otherwise would not treat it. We have to put more time, attention, detail, troops, intelligence. What otherwise would be a third world country, the fact they have a nuclear weapon, we have to take them far more seriously. If we were to bomb Fordo, Iran would likely and probably consider this to be an act of war. Would they respond and try to target U.S. bases? Would they try and target U.S. troops? Would they activate sleeper cells in the interior of the United States? These are all things that President Trump has to factor in.
Sleeper cells, yes.
On the other side, President Donald Trump has said, I will not allow Iran to get a nuclear weapon because he has said, when crazy people have weapons of unthinkable violence, you have to deal in reality. The longer I live, the more I realize that puritanical, ideological approaches to situations like this are not helpful. On one side is the Lindsey Graham, John Bolton types, where they're actively calling for regime change. Can we play the tape of Lindsey Graham yesterday, who's just, quite honestly, just making a lunatic of himself. He looks like a lunatic on it. Time for us to close the chapter on the mullahs and the Ayatollah. So let me first just paint to you the 2 extremes, and then also let you know that's actually not how life works. And Donald Trump is actually rejecting both extremes. Here is Lindsey Graham. This is just lunacy. This kind of analysis is not helpful. This kind of approach, this kind of argument, it has nothing to do with nuclear weapons at this point. This is now that we want to go all in and take out the regime. It's time for us to close the chapter on the Iranian Ayatollah and his henchmen and start a new chapter in the Middle East. And that sounds good, doesn't it? But what have we learned when it comes to wars, and especially wars in the Middle East? What you draw up on a whiteboard rarely happens. What you think theoretically is going to occur, there might be unintended and unforeseen consequences, especially when you're talking about a country 2.5 times the size of Texas and has 90 million people and was an ancient and great power with well over a dozen ethnic groups. If your portfolio is over $250,000 and you aren't hedged, you are sitting on a ticking time bomb. Markets are all-time highs, but history shows, you know what comes next. Volatility and increased risk. A 10% allocation to gold and silver can help hedge uncertainty and the final job of resisting these calls for regime change. He's playing around with it on Truth Social, as he should rhetorically. President Trump should rhetorically taunt and rhetorically threaten regime change. Absolutely, he should engage in information warfare. Play cut 285.
Be all in, President Trump, in helping Israel eliminate the nuclear threat. If we need to provide bombs to Israel, provide bombs. If we need to fly planes with Israel, do joint operations. But here's the bigger question. Wouldn't the world be better off if the Ayatollahs went away and replaced by something better?
And that can keep that country together and not have a 90 million person civil war. Lindsey Graham is so consistently out of his mind, it's hard to even comprehend. Iran is hugely diverse. It is a massive country. Do the people agitating for war even know that? Because be clear, regime change is war. Just to understand, regime change is not like changing the head coach at the Chicago Bears. It's not how it works. Oh, we're going to bring a new head coach. I think that some people think that it's as easy in like sports terms. Oh, we're just, okay, Nick Saban is gone. We're going to go bring in the coach from the University of Washington. Sorry. Oh, okay. Mario Cristobal left the University of Oregon. We're going to go bring in Dan Lin, which actually ended up being very good regime change. It doesn't work that way. It's not like a clean transfer. Typically in the Mideast, it's very messy, creates a quagmire, and then there's civil war. Do you understand how large Iran is? It's massive. It's a very big country. It's mountainous. It makes Afghanistan and Iraq look like a cakewalk. Just look at this beast of a country, all the different regions, all the different dialects. If we could put that up on screen. And then you have a major refugee concern of Mohammedans that will come to Europe and endanger more Christians than Jews, and Mohammedans that will come to America. No, that is wrong. So that is one extreme. Now, Donald Trump rejects that, and he says, no, I don't want regime change. He's never ran on regime change. He doesn't believe in regime change. He is resistant to that. But there is another extreme. There is another extreme. And I get the temptation to be in the other extreme. I actually agree with a lot of this other extreme. I think it's healthy to have this other extreme more than the neoconservative extreme, because this extreme has been underrepresented in the public dialogue and discourse the last 20 years. The other extreme is one that I have deep respect and reverence for, because I actually think if we had the other extreme, we would not have invaded Iraq. This other extreme is philosophically important. It's important to consider, and that's the Ron Paul extreme. And I love Ron Paul. Ron Paul is awesome. I would have Ron Paul on the show regularly. He is a hero because Ron Paul had the courage to challenge old sacred cows of the Republican Party. He made people defend the indefensible. But the Ron Paul perspective is strictly isolationist. He would say, who cares if oil goes to $140 a barrel? That's not our role. We don't need to police the Strait of Hormuz. It doesn't matter if Iran gets a nuclear weapon. Kind of fortress America, fortify it, and let the rest of the world do what it wants to do. Sounds good, but it doesn't work, as the American economy is actually largely dependent on intertwined global trade. You don't have to like it, it's the way it is. I'm going to keep on building out these two extremes because President Donald Trump actually finds himself in the arithmetic mean and a very prudent middle to weigh both options. He's not an isolationist nor a neocon. He's an American patriot. So you have these two extremes. I honestly don't think the neoconservative extreme needs to be represented philosophically.
That's a false
It's
dialectic.
interesting to me. They've done a mess of Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya.
Also, why is the middle of two extremes? Isn't that a fallacy?
I do think hearing out.
Pretty sure that's just a fallacy. Someone assumes the truth or best solution is always found in the middle of between two opposing viewpoints, regardless of evidence supporting either side. It's a fallacy. The middle ground fallacy. The golden mean fallacy. Yep. The fallacy of the fallacy of gray, middle ground fallacy, golden mean fallacy. It argues that compromise is always the best, or somehow compromise is a superior or more truthful answer, just on the basis of it being compromise, which is bullshit.
And honestly, I agree with a lot of the more, I don't
Fallacy of
isolationist is used as a
compromise.
pejorative, but let's just say restrained community. But it doesn't matter what Charlie Kirk believes. It's actually not that relevant. Let me tell you what President Trump has in front of him. And this is the stuff of which statesmen are made. A statesman is a man at the highest moment when you have the weight of the shoulders, like Churchill or Lincoln, of the world on your shoulders. You act with prudence and not on ideological fervor. President Donald Trump is a man made for this moment. This is why President Trump was elected president of the United States. So on one side, he's getting phone calls from Lindsey Graham. Mr. President, we need to invade Iran and liberate the Mullah. Wrong. Like that's a non-starter. I'm sorry, George W. Bush, that was an administration ender for George W. Bush. And the more that we remind people about Iraq and Afghanistan, I actually think it allows us towards a healthy way of viewing what's happening in Iran. And then the other side, which is the online MAGA base, especially the younger MAGA base, is very against U.S. involvement in Iran. And I understand it. I share it. I get it. I totally understand it. We've known nothing but quagmire, lies, deception, intel agencies that have spied on Trump, intel agencies that lied about weapons of mass destruction, intel agencies that misled us about Libya, intel agencies that led us about almost every single corner of the region. We took an online poll, 90% of our audience and 400,000 people voted were against the United States getting involved in a war in Iran. President Donald Trump has been saying this for nearly 10 years. Here's a montage of President Trump saying Iran cannot have nuclear weapons. Play cut 315.
You cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. You cannot let it happen because bad things will happen if that happens. But everybody stopped. They were ready to make a deal. We would have made a deal. It was great for everybody. No nuclear weapons. You can't give nuclear weapons. Now they're going to have a nuclear weapon. But I wanted to make a deal with them. No nuclear weapons. You can't have nuclear weapons. Nuclear weapons are the single greatest threat to this world, to the whole world. And Viktor Orban understands that, and some others do too. I just didn't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon. I said, you know, we're going to make a great deal. Everybody's going to be happy. You're going to be rich as hell again. Everything's going to be great. But you cannot have a nuclear weapon. You can't let Iran have nuclear weapons. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Very simple. They cannot have a nuclear weapon.
And that's just a short little taste of what he's been saying for 10 years. It's the man in the arena that counts. It's easy to lob criticisms, easy to say, oh, why is it you are even mobilizing the USS Nimitz, and we have no idea how this is going to work out. But I encourage you, as you view the next couple of days, to not view things overly ideological. In fact, we should resist ideological fervor, saying, oh, take out the oil fields. No one wants poverty for the Iranian people. You take out the oil fields, get ready for $180 a barrel gas, a lot of Iranians starting to starve, and potentially an Iranian civil war. Take out the Ayatollah. Resist that temptation. That's not prudence. That's not self-control. That's something else talking. That's a zeal. And the very same zeal got us involved in a pile of garbage in Iraq. It all felt good with shock and awe in March of 2003. We're unstoppable. We're going to take Iraq in a weekend. Turns out it didn't work that way. A lot of people died. A lot of Americans died unnecessarily. And so President Donald Trump finds himself in the decision-making chair. President Donald Trump, 10 years ago, said two things. And he ran on it. Not just recently, but he ran on it for a decade. And both these things can simultaneously be true only thanks to the realpolitik approach of President Donald Trump and the MAGA agenda, a book that I wrote. These two things he said 10 years ago. Iraq war was a bloody catastrophe and a disaster, and will never happen again, and Iran cannot get a nuclear weapon. Only President Donald Trump can hold both those things in his hands. Only President Trump, with prudence and practicality and wisdom, is able to weigh them both, thread the needle.
Sounds like such a show. My goodness. Okay, I can't find that specific clip.
Or if he does, it's all gonna be okay. What? And then there's people like me that got off the train a year ago and said, I don't know what the fuck is going on here. I signed up in 2016 because Trump said to Jeb Bush, the war in Iraq was a mistake. And I quote, there were weapons of mass destruction. There weren't none. We knew there were none. They said there were weapons of mass destruction. He lied. Those are the words of Donald Trump in 2016.
We turn now to Saturday night's Republican debate. Trump.
All right? Now, you can take it any way you want, and it took Jeb Bush, if you remember at the beginning of his announcement, when he announced for president, took him 5 days. He went back. It was a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. Took him 5 days before his people told him what to say, and he ultimately said it was a mistake. The war in Iraq, we spent $2 trillion, thousands of lives. We don't even have it. Iran is taking over Iraq with the second largest oil reserves in the world. Obviously, it was a mistake. So George Bush made a mistake. We can make mistakes, but that one was a beauty. We should have never been in Iraq. We have destabilized the Middle East.
I'm sick and tired of Barack Obama blaming my brother for all of the problems that he's had. And frankly, I could care less about the insults that Donald Trump gives to me. It's blood sport for him. He enjoys it, and I'm glad he's happy about it. But I am sick and tired of him going after my family. My dad is the greatest man alive in my mind. The TV show, he had the gall to go after my mother. The gall to go after my mother.
The World Trade Center came down during
the gall to go after my mother.
Remember that.
That was Jeb Bush debate time.
They fell down. I lost hundreds of friends. The World Trade Center came down. Your kills.
Friend shoppers made big.
A lot of.
Jesus Christ.
It was a mistake. The war in Iraq, we spent $2 trillion, thousands of lives. We don't even have it. Iran is taking over Iraq with the second largest oil reserves in the world. Obviously, it was a mistake.
So
George Bush made a mistake. We can make the Middle East.
But so you still think he should be impeached?
I think it's my turn, isn't it?
You do whatever you want. You call it whatever you want. And they knew there were none. There were no weapons of mass destruction.
Somalia, Iraq, weapons of mass destruction. And we all knew better, man. No one.
It was a mistake. The war in Iraq, we spent $2 trillion. Stop.
It's just brutal. Like, it's just.
It was a mistake. The war in Iraq, we spent $2 trillion, thousands of lives. We don't even have it. Iran is taking over Iraq with the second largest oil reserves in the world. Obviously, it was a mistake.
So
George Bush made a mistake. We can make mistakes, but that one was a beauty. We should have never been in Iraq. We have destabilized. Do whatever you want. You call it whatever you want. I want to tell you, they lied. They said there were weapons of mass destruction. There were none, and they knew there were none. There were no weapons of mass destruction.
All right. Governor Bush.
There you go.
It's the same story now. They said there were weapons of mass destruction. There weren't none. They knew there were none. He lied. That's the same situation happening now. I supported Trump because he was criticizing Bush, George Bush, and Jeb Bush, and Rubio and others then on that basis. Because I thought that Trump was going to withdraw our troops from the Middle East, not give them permanent bases in Syria and Iraq, not get us into another regime change war in the Persian Gulf to take out weapons of mass destruction that don't exist. And the line they're going with is something like, well, Trump always said he was going for the nukes, and they're saying, and that's a good thing. They're saying, we don't support regime change, but we do support going after Iran's nuclear weapons. And this is sort of like yet another, it's like a similar package deal with, well, Trump always said we were going after Iran's nukes. Now the Charlie Kirk crowd and others are saying, well, we should take out Iran's nukes because, we don't want Iran to be a nuclear power. They say death to America. It is America first to disarm Iran. Trump said the same thing. And that talking point is coming from him. He said America first means denuclearizing Iran. Now let's talk about that.
Sure.
Once again, just like saying we shouldn't get involved.
Sure.
Just like saying we shouldn't go on offense. Just like saying,
Sure,
Trump
bro.
always said we were going to take out their nukes. This is yet another lie. We'll put it simply. Iran does not have a nuclear weapon. Iran is not pursuing a nuclear weapon. Not only that, the supreme leader of Iran, everybody always likes to talk about the mullahs, the mullahs. You hear that all the time. These people are idiots. Iran has a supreme leader, the Ayatollah. He is the chief cleric. He is the sovereign. He is the head of state of Iran. The supreme leader of Iran, the head mullah, the head cleric, promulgated a fatwa 20 years ago saying, not only is Iran not pursuing a nuclear weapon, it is against Islamic law. He said it is against Islamic jurisprudence for a Muslim nation to acquire or pursue a nuclear bomb. So when you hear these people say, they say death to America, I don't know, the mullahs hate America. Well, let's quote the supreme leader. Why is this never talked about? Why have you never heard of this? Why is this not a headline? Why do conservatives never say this? It is the official Islamic doctrine of the supreme leader, the head of Shiite Islam in Iran, that it is against Islamic law to acquire a bomb. Now, people can say they don't believe that. People can say that Iran has covertly acquired a bomb with a clandestine weapons program and they don't trust them. That's fine. But in as much as people want to talk about what Iranians are saying and taking them at their word, why is that never mentioned? It's sort of like Osama bin Laden. When they blamed bin Laden for attacking the Twin Towers on 9/11, and they talk about how Al-Qaeda and the Muslims hate us for our freedoms, they never mentioned that in bin Laden's fatwa against the United States, bin Laden said that he was coming for America because of our support for Israel, because of U.S. bases in the Hejaz in Saudi Arabia, because of the Israeli war in Lebanon in
What is this called? News interview of Osama bin Laden. CIA.gov. News interviews of Osama bin Laden. CIA. Or CIA, there we go. It's on CIA.gov. Here we go. Okay, let's find the quotes.
1982, that was the inspiration for various attacks. They never mention this. Why and why not? Moreover, for all this talk about nuclear proliferation, it is U.S. doctrine to oppose the proliferation of all WMDs, all weapons of mass destruction, chemical, biological, and nuclear weapons. There is one country in the Middle East that has nuclear weapons. One. That country is Israel. Israel is not a signatory on the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Israel maintains a secretive, covert, undeclared arsenal of at least 200 nuclear bombs deliverable by missile, plane, and submarine. Israel acquired a nuclear bomb by stealing nuclear technology from other countries, including the United States, and nuclear material from other countries, including the United States. They evaded international and U.S. inspections throughout the 60s in order to acquire this. I saw earlier today, Charlie Kirk and others have said,
All right, I just need a minute. Too much. We need just some goy music so I can actually play my game. I just need some time to be a boy. Get out me in. No, but I can't. Screw it.
Got you
radioactive, and nuclear material from other all weapons of mass destruction, chemical, biological, and nuclear weapons. There is one country in the Middle East that has nuclear weapons. One. That country is Israel.
Can't find it. Nuclear weapons.
Israel is not a signatory on the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Israel maintains a secretive, covert, undeclared arsenal of at least 200 nuclear bombs. bombs deliverable by missile plane and submarine. Israel acquired a nuclear bomb by stealing nuclear technology from other countries, including the United States, and nuclear material from other countries, including the United States. They evaded international and U.S. inspections throughout the 60s in order to acquire this. I saw earlier today, Charlie Kirk and others have said, I don't know why. J.D. Vance said it too. The vice president said, I don't know why Iran would enrich uranium to 60%. I don't know why. Unlike any other peaceful nuclear state that has nuclear energy, why would they enrich uranium to 60%? I'll tell you why. Because Israel triggered an arms race in the Middle East. Israel, in the 1950s, it became an obsession of their leadership to acquire the bomb by any means necessary. David Ben-Gurion, it was said, it was literally his obsession, to the point of nervous breakdowns, that
Okay, so ChatGPT is broken. Yeah, I just can't even. It's not even. Why would you link a article that's locked? That's not fair. Lost connection. Oh, we're back. Okay, I gotta stop though. I've just been firing data at people all day. If I time to relax and play some video games. La la la. Deedly. Mind me not. Mind me, deedly. I don't think so. On the second thought, I kinda don't think so. You know what's a thought? I actually kinda don't think so. Kinda thinking like, no, actually. Secret technique. Oh. I'm in the menu. You can't hit me. Come on, bro. Come over here, bro. Come on. Okay, you're just gonna glitch out. Kill them. Kill them. I like we still have beginner game gear. It's kind of funny. Alright, we're finally here. The last fig, give it to me. What are you waiting for? I don't know. You're not gonna tell me what to do. I'm not a student. Shit, nigga. Okay, what are we dealing with? Kinda lame. Kinda not good. 50? Okay, okay. 70, very nice. 80. Ooh. So 50, 70, and 80, that's 200. And 10. And 15. Bro. Help, bro. Bro, we're just targeting this one guy. Bro, we literally just targeted that one guy. That was devious. Fuck. What? You can just do that? Bro, I'm actually gonna lose to this guy. That's embarrassing. How much HP? Okay, he has 1600 HP. We're not killing him. I mean, that's good, but we're just not killing him. That's too early. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. guy. Oh, bro, fuck you. Womp womp. That was quite devious. I've never seen that. I don't think we had that much money, did we? Yeah, we lost 2,000. Big whoop. Yeah, we can go level up for a bit. Sure. There's no music. It's kind of creepy. I mean, the real problem is I have no armor. And I don't know where I can get free gear. I don't think I can. Sure, we'll level up for a bit. Yeah, sorry for the big break there. I was just... Yeah, it's scary what's going on across the world. Man, I don't know what's gonna happen. I hope everything's alright. Gotta look after myself, I guess. Look after my future family, and my legacy. That's kind of my... That's all I can do. That's all I can affect right now. I just gotta pray, I guess. Oh, it didn't. Really, I'm surprised. Yes, I don't know. And it's the American support for it. It's all the subversion and the lies and the deception and the spite and the wrath. It's just so gross. I hate everything about it. They really are the embodiment of evil. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm a little nervous. I don't think good things are happening. I think Iran is going to eventually fall. It's going to cost Americans a ton. It's going to throw us into poverty and more hyperinflation. The only good thing is that this is bringing, now with the advent of social media, it's bringing the war crimes of Israel into light. And it's building up pressure. The copium is already doing mental gymnastics. The right wing is already bending its back over in a multiplicity of ways to justify this outrageous war. And the question is, how much can the human psyche bend and lie to itself before something snaps? I just hope it snaps sooner than later so we don't have to endure much more of this demonic torture. We're in huge trouble. Yeah, I don't know. Makes you feel gross inside. Makes you feel, I feel slimy and, like, horrified just thinking about that. I feel Jewish guilt without even being Jewish. Like, I feel secondhand Jewish guilt. I literally feel secondhand Jewish guilt. Oh, you bitch. Fuck. Well, that's kinda it, unless I get really lucky. Nice. Good job. W. $3,000. $3,000. I don't know what's gonna happen. It's gonna be worse. I mean, something like I Have No Mouth and I'm a Screen is kind of the end game for these shoes. Yeah, like all the wrath and rage, hatred against humanity. The antisocial, paranoid, hyper-aggressive, histrionic obsession, culminating in cancerous psychological syndrome, something like that. Taking out its persecution, its resentment for millennia of persecution out on a few humans, killing the rest. These kinds of dramatic extremes, operating in such psychopathic extremes. I don't know, guys. The amount of white people, the amount of Christians getting behind this. They're all going to have to answer for that. They're all going to have to account for that. There's going to be a lot of Christians who are going to go to hell because of this. They're being corrupted by the spirit of Antichrist. Yeah, unpleasant thoughts, unpleasant, but I can't stop thinking about it. I don't want to think about it. I can't enjoy anything now. I can't enjoy... Like, I want to go back in the Matrix. I want to go back. I can't enjoy anything anymore. It's all tainted with this truth now. It's now horrifying and chilling and gross and slimy. Reality outside the Matrix is dark and cold. Robots running over everything. Fuck's sake, and there's fucking 4 of them. Fuck you. Man, that's stupid. Oh, fuck you. These cunts. These parasites. Or let me go, you idiot. Oh, I attacked the wrong one. My fucking whoops, I attacked the wrong one. It was actually raving lunatic D that had 1 HP left. My bad, I thought it was raving lunatic C that had 2 HP left. A bunch of bastards. Literally, whether or not Israel gets defeated or not is literally a matter of life and death for the entire nation. It is a apocalyptic matter for everyone's physical well-being. If we do not, they will plunge us into some kind of torture akin to Ivermectin on the screen. Something on that scale, something that exaggerated. That demonic and hate-filled in nature. If we do not put an end to it. On a physical level, but also a spiritual level. You're being raped on multiple fronts. So it's wholly ugly. It's not just kind of ugly, it's not physically ugly, it's not a brutal war. It's also a spiritual war. Spiritually ugly. Thought he was on the left. Where'd he go? Of course. get some food though, guys. I'll just play it. I'll be right back. Poor head. Alright, we're back. Ugh. How did I kill all of them? That doesn't make sense. Must have landed killing blows to each one. Alright, where the fuck am I? I just gotta not think about it for like 3 seconds. But I can't. I am obsessed. I am so obsessed. I would say not irrationally obsessed.